So the first one is by our enemy, our common enemy. His name is Nil. He has a YouTube channel called Gnostic Informant. I mean, he's our friend. I'm sorry. He's our friend.
He's a good guy. We actually just did a great show together. Yeah.
I was teasing. Yeah, Nil's a good guy. He just interviewed with you. I don't know when that's going to launch. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be fun.
It was a very good interview. He did a very good job.
Yeah.
We did amazing stuff with him.
He's an amazing goyim. That's all I could say.
Well, he's not going to be a goyim for long when I'm done with him. That's temporary.
He said, so you're saying that I can't sacrifice children and be forgiven for sins? Shucks. That's his statement. Thank you for the super chat. The next one is Doc Pleuromanot. He says, the Epistle of Barnabas goes out of its way to view Jewish law as non-literal. How did this anti-Jew polemic find its way out of Orthodox hermeneutics?
So the Epistle of Barnabas is a pseudepigrapha, so Barnabas didn't write it, but it's pretty early. Don't confuse that with the Gospel of Barnabas. That's actually wasn't written that long ago. Forget that book. So the Epistle of Barnabas did not make it into canon for many, many reasons. There were what might be called proto-Orthodox thinkers who thought that it had a tinge of Gnosticism or lack of orthodoxy. But in a sense, what the Epistle of Barnabas did is sort of amped up Pauline ideas. So Paul is conveying that the Jews never got it and it was never about the law. The Epistle of Barnabas goes beyond Paul. So let me just go through one element of Pauline theology that shows up all over the place. When I say all over, I don't mean just the letters in the New Testament that are attributed to Paul, 13 are attributed to him, but also in the Pauline letters, like the book of Hebrews, a letter that Christians for a very long time thought was authored by Paul. In fact, that's how it made it into a canon. I want to take Colossians 2, 16, 17. Let no one tell you about what you should eat, what you're drinking, your holidays, keeping the Sabbath, your new moons. Let no one tell you about keeping those things. You know why? Because the law is only a shadow. The essence is Christ. That's Pauline. You'll find the same language in Hebrews chapter 10. I mean, Hebrews was not written by Paul, but I assure you, Paul would have given him an A+. Okay? Now, what the Epistle of Barnabas does, it amps it up more, and that is, it's not that you don't have to keep the law. See, Paul's theology is that the law is there as a mirror. It's there as a taskmaster. I'm using the master, using the language of Galatians. The role of the law is like a task that you look in the mirror. And what do you see when you look in the mirror? You see that your face is dirty. You see, and then you wash it, and that's the Holy Spirit. So the point of the law is to chasten you into a relationship with Christ. So it wasn't the essence, it's only the shadow, which isn't the essence. The Epistle of Barnabas is heretical in a sense because it goes much further than that. The Epistle of Barnabas argues, as an example, that the law forbidding you of what you can eat, I'm using specific Colossians 2, 16, 17, is not because the reason why you can eat pork is not because the whole ritual commandment is only a shadow. No. The Jews never understood it to begin with. That means it was never about the prohibition of eating pork. Leviticus 11 didn't care about the prohibition of eating pork. Rather, it was trying to teach you not to behave like a pig. So you see, that's not what Paul taught. So it was these kinds of ideas. It's highly amped up, and we certainly could say, I can understand how the author, we don't know who wrote it, but whoever wrote the Epistle of Barnabas would come to that conclusion, just how we can understand how Augustine could come to the conclusions he does in his writings centuries later. And we can understand how the doctrine of the Trinity would emerge centuries after the New Testament was concluded, because we could see the amped up Christology in the prologue of John. But that's why the Epistle of Barnabas was long known to have not been written by Barnabas, but it wasn't orthodox. There are many books that did not make it into the canon, but had an enormous influence on Christian thinking. That's all. And the proto-gospel of James didn't make it in, but boy, did that have an enormous impact on the way Christians thought about Mary, the Immaculate Conception. That's where it comes from. So the Epistle of Barnabas, although it doesn't make it into the canon, and there's so many books like this, it has an enormous impact on the way Christians thought. It shaped their thinking. Go ahead.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא